what's interesting, and I just mentioned this, back to my book, in the last story of the book, when the bad guy, the Border Patrol canine fella, he becomes a fugitive and he goes down to Mexico, and he's hiding in a place in Mexico called Torreon. And as I'm doing research on, I'm trying to imagine what he's doing in this city of Torreon. I did a lot of research into.
And can you real quick, just because we spoke off camera about this, but can you tell the audience about this corrupt Border Patrol agent?
Certainly, yeah. So here was an individual who had, there were a lot of rumors about him. He was a canine handler. He was from the El Paso area. And when I arrived in El Paso, immediately I heard his name mentioned as, this guy was wheeling and dealing with the VCFO in Ciudad Juarez. So, when I took a look at our cases, there had been a number of cases, but we weren't able to make them. I mean, this guy was very crafty, and he was also, he wasn't working with other people, other government people. So it was just him and the cartel in this case. So he was a canine handler, and during the investigation, we find out that he's got his dog. He and his dog are going on the other side, working for the cartel, and having the dog go around and, as they're preparing bundles of marijuana or cocaine, and they're trying to disguise it and disguise the smell, they're using the dog. This is our American dog that they're using, that the cartel's using, and they're using his expertise and this dog, which was a highly decorated dog and had a bounty on its head at one time. But now the dog is working and he are working together. So it was just bizarre. I got to a point where I couldn't make the case because we were so small, and I would have to rely on other agencies. And in the end, I remember sitting down with this guy. I said, and I selected the place where he hung out. I said, let's meet over there and have a beer, at this place.
And you told him you were who you were.
Oh, he knew who I was. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a small, El Paso is a city, but it's a small. And in the government, it's even smaller.
Right.
So I just sat down, and I really, I felt, I knew he actually was doing this for like 20, 25, 30 years, something like that.
How do you do that for so long? That's so crazy. I mean, you look at the average criminal, I feel like.
Well, one of the reasons, Kevin, he was able to, he wasn't flash. If you drove by his house, it was very modest.
Yeah.
If you looked at his vehicles, it was a pickup truck. It was an old pickup truck. So he was flying kind of under the radar that way. He wasn't calling excessive attention to himself.
But he's still in a highly surveyed government place doing criminal activities. I mean,
Yeah, but when you're out there at some of these checkpoints, and that's where he would operate. He would operate in some of the loneliest, godforsaken checkpoints. And so it was easy for him to, hey, Tom, I'll take this shift right now. Go catch a few Z's there in the shack. And then, he's handling waving loads through.
that he knows.
Yeah, wink and a nod. Okay, go ahead. And then later they meet in Chili's or some places where they pay him.
Right. Yeah, that's
So this guy eventually, when I left, I had to fold my case up, and it was a big regret for me that we couldn't take him down.
Sure.
But the FBI and I had close contacts with the Public Corruption Squad in El Paso. They were good. They got this guy that had worked on. He was a military guy, and he had worked on the insurgency in Iraq. So he was very military minded, and so that's the way he conducted his cases.
Sure.
And so they were able to kind of put a full court press, and with many more resources, and with some sources who weren't gringos.
Right.
Because that's why I could speak Spanish until the cows come home.
Yeah.
But I couldn't pull off an undercover operation on the border. I'm just I'm a gringo. I'm a güero.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. So they had some pretty good sources, and eventually, and his life was starting to. His dog died, and he went into a depression.
And this guy was Mexican American, right?
He was a Mexican American.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the dog died. He went into a depression. He was having problems. He was divorced, and then now he's with the cartel's head of the cartel's niece. That's not working out for him as well. So his life is kind of spiraling out of control.
Right.
And so finally they got him. So, you know, it was
So they
this-
killed him? Or?
no, it was a series of, you know, our case, the FBI case, it was kind of a series of buys.
Okay.
And finally they busted him.
Got it. Okay. But they busted him in Mexico?
No, they
or-
busted him in the States.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so they arrested him, and he is serving, I think, 70 years.
Ooh.
Yeah.